Episode 3. So you've learned to say, I am a king. Right? And you've also learned that a bow can mean a lot. What's in a bow? It's like it could be your demise. That person could be dropping off a spirit for you. Think of that. Say someone wanted to put medicine on you, for example, and they come to you, and then they give a reason to be able to bow in front of you. In the spirit world, that person's hurting you, right? That's what's in the bow. But yourself, though, if you bow, that you become a bitch to those spirits. So the less you bow, the better. So, for example, you're at a house about your kids. It's like, ask your kid to pick it up for them. It's nothing for them to do it, right? It has nothing to do with kids when it comes to this. I'm talking about the adults, the 8th generation. You, that leader. So just count them. Eventually, you want to get down to 0. That's your goal. Once you get down to 0, it's like you'll find that you'll have more control of yourself as well, because you've given them less outlets to hurt you, because there's many, and I'm going to tell you what they are. And once you understand how they manipulate you and how they work, it's not rocket science, believe me. They're pretty stupid. I'll give you one example of how stupid they are. They can only do one thing at a time. They can't do 2. So, for these leaders who say, why to quit smoking? You're just like, oh, I just can't quit. Or drink it. So a craving is that spirit wanting to be fed, right? So technically it's a parasite that crawls to your brain and says, feed me. So at that moment, that spirit has control of you, because it's like, you're like, oh, I just want a beer, or I just want to smoke, or I just want whatever, right? So in that moment, think of your partner's ass. And once you do that, it's like you'll start probably getting an erection or whatever. If you actually like that person sexually, though. You know what I mean? If you're not attracted to that person, then it's not going to work. But that person won't be able to help you. That ass. But in this case, let's say it does. Okay? In this case, we're saying it does. So be careful about love. Because love is important. Everything that I do and I teach will always be centered around love. So, this craving that wants to be fed, right? And all of a sudden you think of your partner's ass, and all of a sudden you start getting it. But that spirit at that time has to move over, because the other one is now in control. All of a sudden you're like, now I can't think of nothing but my partner's ass. All of a sudden you're like, the craving's gone. You're just like, ugh. It's like you won that battle. Think of it as a battle, right? So within this battle that you just won, reward yourself. We're children, is all we are. Never think that you're an adult. Because if you think you're an adult, then you're lost. Because adults always think, oh, I'm this and this and that, I'm an adult. It's like, no, you're not. Just think you're a child. And I'm not belittling you in any way. I act like a child. Because a child will just live in the moment. You ever look at them and they're just happy at that little thing there? It's like, you have to do that. That's all it is to be a child. It's just to live in the moment. An adult is like, oh, I'm an adult. It's like, okay, here we go. They have all these bills. I have these payments. And I have this. It's like, that's what they consider to be an adult. And the ones I'm speaking to, you're not adults. Don't cling onto that word adult, because that word adult, all of a sudden they say, oh, you want to be an adult? Okay, let me give you an adult. Right? Your parents are going to say that because they're just a bunch of douches, right? Because they're trained to be douches. No offense for the parents that are listening. I'm just talking to your children. These children are going to save you. So, let's bow. No more bowing. Pick up that lighter. Here's a cool thing though. It's going to happen. It's almost like everything you do, there's always a reaction. So in this case, we said no more bowing. So if you pick something up, it's like you go down, like how they say it's just like you bend down with your third, right? Exact same thing. Bend down and use your leg each time. Because every time you do that, you build muscle. So at the end of your journey, it's like for the guys who don't have an ass, you'll actually start to grow an ass. Only because you start to use it. And it'll be like, nice. And while you're thinking of your partner's ass, you're growing an ass. So at least she'll have something to grab onto when you're fucking her, right? It's like, come on. You got to give them something as well, too. I always look at these women and these men, I think it's like, oh, you poor beautiful woman. You just got gypped. No offense again. But I'm probably going to offend everybody. Because I just want to dispel on ways that your communities can grow together as one. And these youths are going to get that information. And the way that they think will be different from the way you think. Because the parents usually become different from their children. It's just the way it is. The seventh generation, there's elders in there. Old men who are hearing a story. They're probably can't speak, but they're hearing, and their spirit guide's telling them a story. And they dare not speak because you would throw them into a crazy home, or else throw him into an old folks home, send him away, and he's just like, oh. And a lot of these old men will just die with the truth, because at 80 years old, they go into a different state. It's like a woman who loses her moon time. A man is 80. That's why the woman always matures faster. So at least they help him along. So if you see an old lady with her old man, for example, let me show you the power of a grandmother. She'll be wearing purple. And you're just like, why does kokom always wear purple? It's like, I don't know, it's her favorite color. Well, it's only because the spirit guide says purple is a protection of bad spirits. And she hears that inside. Something just there, and she just doesn't know why. She just I don't know, I love purple. Now that's the reason why. Because she's protecting her man. So you have these women who will go before their men, and it's like their protection just left. That love, a love from a grandmother, oh my God, that's priceless. Priceless. Here's a sad fact for men. It's harder for a man to lose his mom than for a woman. Because a woman can reproduce and create that for herself. That love that her mom had, because her mom taught her how to do it, right? But a man, he loses it. And it's like sometimes you'll see the boys, I'm on the slippery slope again here, on this hill. And you'll see the boys at the graves because they're trying to get close to that wound that they lost. And so they'll have a girlfriend and they'll kind of cling to that almost. And so it's kind of like that hurt that a boy can't get over. And unfortunately, it's made like that, unfortunately. For them to want to go back into that dirt to go join their mom. And it's like, and some just can't. It's a sad fact of life that they call your moccasins that you're wearing. So they're made especially for you. And they were led a certain way, just for you. And they danced for you. And so it's a lot of people say, like, why does my life suck? It's like, because for this moment, for you, as a leader. Because those people who had these things shoved up their ass all their life, it's like, you can't take those things out. They need them. But you're a warrior inside. Only because of that pain. Not because you can fight. I don't need fighters. Not those type of fighters yet. I need leaders who can just sit there in the room and only speak when they are told to speak. And the one who tells them to speak is that grandmother in the community. She'll sit there and use you as a weapon because of the words that come out of your mouth. These leaders, the ones who felt the pain, these spirits that have these powerful gifts that the grandmothers need to utilize, you're going to hold them for these grandmothers. And they'll rely on you. The time of gifts means like the time of spirits. These spirits used to guide around these Israelites, around this nation. And then they were put to sleep. And so there's another time coming. Because of that spirit that was inside the genetics of these people, they yearned for it. And then when these Munyawa came, they had different types of spirits. Because of that alcohol. They call it spirits for a reason. And so when they started injecting those spirits, they just yearned for it, those cells. But it was almost a setup on their part in regards to nature. Like a test. Because if you look at the Israelites, they always go through the good and bad. And you're just like, God really hates his own people. You're just like, no, the ones you love most, you hurt the most. And the ones who didn't get hurt, say, you were not loved. Not like the person on the ground who can't get up. That one was loved the most. That person will be helped up. He's like, let's go. That allegory, that story and that metaphor and just being retold and retold is like it was told for these people now, this 8th generation who are on the ground, who can't get up, those bums. Because that gift that sits there, it needs a humble person who will never, ever say no. Because you'll be told to go out and go say this to this person, and then come back. And then you'll come back and you'll see it on the news. You'll be like, that's what I said? And it's like, ooh, okay, interesting. They'll be warriors because of that voice. The strategies that exist now exist within you, that gift. People will look at an event and think, that event was horrible. It's like, sure. But did you look at why it happened versus what happened? A lot of trauma that happens to people is a lot of bad things. Say, burning of the hands, for example, burning of the body, murder, rape, things like that, where these ones who felt the most pain in the communities and were just hurt repeatedly, those spirits had to find a way, those really strong spirits had to find a way into these bodies called you, these leaders. I'm explaining your pain. And so within this pain, these gifts were given to you at that exact moment. Because that excitement, like that, say childbirth of a woman. And these are only for men. So it's almost like you're mimicking that almost without having to have something being shoved out your ass. but you're still feeling that pain nonetheless. Pain equals pain, whether it's coming out of you or whether it's going into you, and whether it's pain, right? It's a number. So in the end, a person can go and look at their life and pity themselves, but you're hurting yourself, because you're really, if you were to live in the moment and to just begin to breathe from your stomach, from the bottom of it, that act forces you to do two things. Try it. Breathe in. It forces you to stick your chest out, and it forces you to stand up straight like a king. All of a sudden, like, so try to maintain that the whole time that I talk. There's your test while I talk. Do it. And just kind of there and stick your chest out like a peacock. I guess people would say, like, oh, look at that guy, just thinks he's a cock in the walk. That's exactly what you are. Because as a leader, you have to believe you're the fucking cock of the walk. You have to believe you have the biggest fucking dick in the whole reserve. Even if it's the tiniest dick, I don't care. You still have to believe it. Because that woman or man in front of you sees that walk, sees that, it's like, just like, I don't care, put it aside. Love me, because I just love that confidence. They're attracted to that. But I'm not saying use your body like that, no. But that's the power of confidence, is that sticking your chest out. But at the same time, you're putting more oxygen into your body, which is bad if you're wearing a mask, because now you have this old air and new air, and so these computers called your brain, it doesn't have a way to breathe. Imagine that your computer is like this big computer, like the one you have on the desktop there. Remember those old ones? And it had that fan, right? So imagine you have this person who's just like, it's just like, why am I dumb? Because you don't breathe. And it's like, what? That could be the reason. All of a sudden this person's breathing, all of a sudden you're just like, wow, interesting words come out of that person's mouth now. And thoughts and ideas. Here's an interesting thing I found along the way. You can always tell the human is there. Say for a mother, when she starts thinking of her children, when the human starts coming back and that spirit starts losing touch with that human, because that means that human's coming back to the food. And people will notice the ones who are going to be the caregivers and the grandmothers, as they come back to you, they'll start to have more human characteristics as a child, because everybody needs love, right? Even those spirits that are behind that human wanting love, right? Because in their world they have no love. So I'm explaining them to you. I'm not trying to get you to pity them. I pity them, because only the master that they serve lied to them. But these things, they want a home. And you, as a leader, you give them that home. 1, when you bow. 2, when you drink. That's why I said you shouldn't drink anymore. I'm going to start a challenge here. And I'm not going to start it for probably 2 weeks. But for the ones who want to get a head start, who have heard this, and serendipity will play its part. But if you want to help play your part, pass this on to someone in the community that is like drinks, or just say is addicted to meth. Those people are the ones that will benefit the most. Especially the people on meth and this really, really hard drugs, because It's been like a fast, right? So you look at it and you say like, oh, that's horrible, that person's a meth. Mother Nature will be like, shut up, Buck. Getting that person ready. That's Mother Nature's perspective. And so when they look at that human and just think like, why is that human working against what we're trying to do? And so the message that Mother Nature would send to these humans, he tried to stop progress. And he tried to go and use their authority to go and stop these youth from finding their path. Their own children will be used as a tool to hurt them. I say don't shoot the messenger. Because this time now is a forward motion. And everybody as a community, as those people with very little warning that they have, says we have to move as one. But this bondage that you have is not a physical bondage. But nonetheless, you're in bondage, mentally. Because you're stuck to a system called money. There's that bondage. There are some who will not be able to stop it, like your parents, because they're in it. But do you look down on them? Fuck no. Do not look down on them. Do not look down on anyone. Love them even more. Right? These are the ones who are trying to help you as an 8th generation. You probably just live on welfare and this. And you can do that. You can be that person who can be that grass in the wind, like grass dancer. And can just flow and move at will. These people with houses can't. But that's the 7th generation that the 8th generation is going to help and make a way and help to create something for them. Because you, as a pained individual, the one I speak to, you want purpose. And this is your purpose. Is to find yourself. With this 1 month, you will begin to find yourself. You will unlayer as a onion. And it will hurt this 1 month. Because all those feelings that never got resolved will come to the top. But that's good. So a lot of these men who want to take on this challenge, they're going to find it's just difficult. A lot of them will just stop. So 10 people go forward, 50% will fail. It's almost like the engineers in university. That's their speech. Look at the guy to your left. He will fail. Right? But here's the thing about this. I want to ensure that nobody fails. You're just like, oh, well, that's hopeless. And there's only one way that you can ensure that you don't fail. Is you communicate. Here's a good example. Say that I'm walking in my reserve in Saskatchewan. And there's a young man who's walking in, I don't know, Manitoba. And there's this connection that these boys have created using technology. And they're able to just go here and go reach out almost to help find that strength and just be like, da da da. Because you'll find that your pain is all the same. And you'll just be like, we are the same people. Only because of that pain.